This is the first time the head will be CAT scanned.
This allows us to exactly see the state of preservation and the state of the tissues and perhaps also even get a bit closer analysis on cause of death in terms of hanging and the damage to the internal organs and the throat and so on.
The excitement of the scientists as they gather around to see the results is palpable.
We saw a very well preserved brain. The brain is excellently preserved, so it's going to be very well preserved internal structures. So it's going to be very beautiful to visualize some of these things.
The CAT scan allows the imaging of every facet of the brain, which can be held on computer for future scientific analysis without further disruption of the Tollen man himself. The next test is using an endoscope to see inside the skull. The scientists are amazed to find that they can actually film this 2,000-year-old brain. Apart from identifying scars or tattoos, the infrared and UV light processes may reveal how the Tollen man was killed, by hanging or strangulation.
The thing is, if he's been hanged, which means the noose would kind of go up in an inverted V, or he was strangulated by simply, standing or lying, and then there would be a circular furrow.
The mood among the scientists is more somber as the fate of the Tollen man, of whom they all have a certain affection and respect, becomes clear.
Well, I think we're talking a hanging. He has been hanged. It's not just a strangulation with a piece of rope. He's been actually strung up and hanged. That would explain the furrows, because it needs his body weight to get that kind of pattern.
For the first time, modern apparatus has accumulated a huge number of images of the Tollen man's anatomical features and has confirmed theories surrounding his death. Through new science, 2,000-year-old bodies, fortunately preserved by the chemical reactions of the peat bogs, are with us today to be studied and analyzed.
We're looking at a person who died more than 2,400 years ago, and he looks exactly like us. He could be standing next to us in the shopping line or whatever. He's obviously human. He's obviously one of us.
It's incredible to think that a man who lived 2.5 millennia ago should be so like us. But another discovery of human remains, found in a bog 3 times older than the Tollen man, has given us even more amazing insights. Cape Canaveral, southern Florida, 220 square miles of undisturbed bog on the outskirts of the NASA launch site were to reveal to archaeologists the sophistication of some of the first Americans. Construction worker Steve Vanderjagt was clearing a path through a marshy area known as the Windover Bog. Then something strange, unusual caught his eye in the bucket of his mechanical digger.
Found it to be a little strange because you don't see a lot of rocks and stones here coming out, and so I jumped off to take a look to see what it was that I did pick up out of there. And as I turned it around, it was looking at me.
What Steve had uncovered was a skull. This was to prove to be one of the most important archaeological sites in the United States and one of the largest in the country. Professor Glenn Doran arrived in Windover to excavate the bog. He was stunned by what he saw.
There was a relatively small, little nasty water black pond, and at first glance it didn't look like a particularly inviting place for an archaeological site. But then we got out and we started walking up and down, and within just a few minutes we started seeing clusters of human skeletal material.
Radiocarbon dating revealed that the bodies were far older than any other human remains found in Florida before.
When we got the word back that the materials were over 7,000 years old, I mean, we were really walking on clouds. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It exceeded our expectation.
Cocooned in this peaty grave lay the remains of hundreds of men, women, and children of all ages. And what was more extraordinary was that their brains had been preserved by the bog. Brains that belonged to some of the very first people to step foot in the Americas.